Greetings and welcome back to another edition of Caring About Seniors. I am your host, Adrienne Houghton. Now, each week I sit down with Oasis Senior Advisors Jacksonville and we discuss all aspects of senior living. Today, joining us from Oasis is El Begocious, and our guest today is Mr. Scott Lara, who is from Senior Helpers. Welcome.
It's great to be here. Thank you so much.
It's good to see you. So first of all, tell us a little bit about you and how you got into healthcare.
I got into healthcare many years ago, over 30 years ago, because my grandmother needed home care. And so I learned quite a bit about it and was able to help her with skilled care and with home health aid. And it's just been a great experience being there to help a senior.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. And so that's how you actually started 30 years ago. Wow. And when did you, Al, meet Scott?
I met Scott when I first got involved with senior care. I was in Scott's position with an organization called Extension Home Care. And I was out there banging on doors, and he was with another organization, and we kind of befriended each other. And what's beautiful about Scott's and my relationship, when I was a competitor of his, he shared what he knew. And he helped me become a better senior care person.
How wonderful.
So.
How wonderful. Yeah. So let's get down to Senior Helpers and exactly what do they do?
Senior Helpers here in Jacksonville has been in business for, since 2008, helping seniors in our community. And it's very rewarding because helping seniors, the greatest generation, and helping them in the home to age gracefully, age with dignity in the home is just huge, because as younger people, helping our grandparents and our folks feel better and have dignity is just a very rewarding experience for me.
Yeah, so if somebody needs help with cleaning or what other things do you do?
That's a very good question, because so many people think that Senior Helpers is out there just for companionship or for helping around the home, but it's so much more than that. A good friend of mine was telling me about balance, how it's such a great asset. And if you don't have your balance, everything else, money, cars, toys, iPhones, means nothing. And I had a little balance issue a couple months ago, and it felt like I was back on my Navy ship going back and forth. And so we really help seniors in the home maintain their balance safely, from going to the toilet, to the bathtub, getting up in the morning, going to bed at night. And, using the example of Bob Saget, hits his head, lays down on the bed, and something very bad happened there. Did you know that over 3 million seniors every year go to the emergency room because of a fall? I didn't know that before I got into home care. And so if we can help a senior prevent a fall in the home, it really helps everyone. And
how do you actually start the process to become a client?
Well, the process begins with, a family. It's usually a family member. It is never a senior that raises their hand and says, I need help. Someone my age will call for someone Sal's age and say, my grandpa, has been falling. There's been things going on. And so usually a person will call me, and then I will do an assessment to see how the person is. If they have dementia, if they have Alzheimer's, and then I educate, I tell the family member what we can do. We come in, with a gentle touch, helping them transfer, making sure they don't fall. And of course, companionship, light housekeeping, and those things too. But our main goal is to prevent people stay safe in their homes.
So is your assessment an in-home assessment?
Absolutely. It's a free in-home assessment that I provide, where I go in and I look at rugs on the floor, if I see if there's a shower chair or not, to see if there are pets, see how safe the home is. And from there, I can develop a care plan, working with my office regarding if it's Alzheimer's, dementia, forgetfulness, to make sure that person in the home is staying safe to prevent a costly hospital admission.
Right. Now, you work with veterans as Al does. Tell me about how you help them.
Well, I'm a U.S. Navy veteran. I was on a ship. I was a radarman going all over the world. And veterans are very special for myself and for Senior Helpers, because many veterans don't know that the VA has benefits to pay senior helpers to care for them in the home. So I help veterans and their families navigate the VA system to get those funds. And it's rewarding there because now it's not so much of a financial burden for care.
So how does one pay for your services?
It's what we call private pay, and this is something that is out of your own pocket, that someone will pay us to come out and take care of someone. And I do have to say that it's a minimum of 4 hours a day for 4 days a week. And a lot of people say, well, Scott, why so long? Well, when you're looking at someone in the morning or at lunch or at night, you don't want to just be in there for a few hours just to do a couple things. You need to be in there to make sure the person doesn't fall. And of course help with other things as well. But it's all about safety at home. And we need the time to be able to care for someone adequately and safely.
I'm sure that each client varies from male to female, but also in what care that you give. You can go into a home, I'm sure, and the assessment is, well, actually, we just need to twist a few things, tweak a few things, perhaps put a bar up here. Do you then find people to do that? Or is that something that actually Senior Helpers organizes?
That's a very good question, because I do have partnerships and relationships with skilled nursing facilities and other DME companies that if someone does have some questions, I can point them in the direction, like a lot like Al does. He points people in the right direction. And so yes, I can help them with that. But you're precisely right. Someone could really need a lot of help, a dementia patient, an Alzheimer's person, but then there are people who just need a little bit of care, and I can help them with that as well.
Now, Senior Helpers have a specific process, don't they, that they go through? What is that?
And the process is that someone will call us, or they'll reach out to us on social media or via email and saying, I have a relative that needs help. And then we do the process of doing the assessment and then letting them know what the care plan is and moving forward with that.
There's so much that can be done to aid seniors, and there's so many seniors that say, I don't need any help. The people that don't have dementia, but just are elderly and perhaps lonely, is that also something?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
And you're precisely right. It is never an elderly person that says, I need help,
yes,
especially men. We like to be independent and not have to worry about things. It's always a family member that is concerned about the relative. But yes, we do provide companionship, light housekeeping, rides to Starbucks or rides to Golden Corral. There's a lot of things we do like that. That's
so it's not just in the home. You could take somebody shopping or
to doctor's appointments, to hairdresser appointments. Absolutely.
Gosh, is there anything you don't do?
Well, I think we do pretty much everything. Absolutely.
So talk to me about the normal day in the life of a senior helper.
Well, that is a very, very good question. The caregiver goes in, greets the client, and takes the initiative. Hey, let me help you with this. Have you had breakfast yet? Let me help you with this. And being proactive, not waiting for the elderly person to say, hey, I need help with this. And so that's the one thing that we do very well at Senior Helpers, is training our caregivers to be proactive, to ask those questions and to be ahead of it, and to help them with bathing, with dressing, with toileting, and if they're incontinent, helping them with that as well. So it's a very personal, hands-on service, again, for the main goal of keeping a senior out of the hospital and out of the emergency room.
Are all your helpers fully trained nurses?
Well, they are CNAs, or home health aides. And with Senior Helpers, we're bonded, licensed, and insured. We're not a registry. We are fully accredited, and we've been doing this since 2008, and I'm very proud to be a part of Senior Helpers, helping seniors and veterans in our community.
Do you find yourself sometimes in the situation where it's more than perhaps a helper can deal with, and it's time to move forward? Is that when you perhaps talk to Al?
Absolutely, because if someone is at a stage where it is unsafe for them to be in the home, it is my responsibility to inform the client and the family members that maybe we need to go to the next stage. If it is hospice, or talking with Al about possibility of going into a facility, absolutely. So I'm very keenly aware of every client I see to make sure that they are getting the proper care.
Have you actually gone on an assessment before now thinking, oh, this is not for us?
Absolutely. There may be, that's a very good question, because there may be times where someone doesn't need a lot of care. They just want someone coming in the morning, getting the person started, coming in at night. And usually that's churches and family and friends that just stop by.
Sure.
But there are a lot of folks that the family member and the client don't realize they need more care, and that's exactly what I provide.
Gosh, I mean, it's something. I mean, we're all getting older, and when you're fit and healthy, you don't think that far into the future. Is it something that can be planned for?
To a certain degree, yes. Give you an example. My wife's grandfather was a 98-year-old World War II bombardier, and he was living up in Athens, Georgia, in an independent living facility, and he fell. My wife would call every day. She couldn't get a hold of him one day, and we moved him down here, and we were able to get him the care he needed, close to family and friends. And so, yes, as we age, as we progress, we just need to be aware of that process and where we are. But yes, absolutely, you can be ahead of the game with long-term care insurance, and you can be ahead with making sure your wishes are known with your family members, so that if you do get to a certain point, the actions can be taken what the elderly person would want.
Are there tips for some of the relatives to look for, so that when they contact you, they can say, you need to know this, 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 and this before you come for the assessment?
Absolutely. If someone is forgetful, and if they're having problems with going to the restroom, if they have fallen in the past, if there are just things going on there just are out of the normal, and a lot of times it is just stuff that happens overnight. Sure. Grandma can be fine for this certain period, and suddenly something happens, and that is a red flag that family members and also social workers, folks in the doctor's offices. And let me just comment really quick for the social workers that are watching. Don't prejudge someone, a family member or a client, when they come in. Take a good look and see not just how they are at the doctor's office, but how they could be at home. And I know that doctor's visits go very quickly. You need 25 or 30 patients a day. But I encourage social workers and folks in doctor's offices, look at the whole person and think about what's going on maybe at 2 in the morning. And again, with my friend Al, as we get older, especially as gentlemen, going to the bathroom at 2 in the morning. Yeah. That is a very difficult time, because if you're off balance and you fall and hit your head or something. And so that's something I encourage family members, and when I talk to doctor's offices and rehab facilities also, to just keep in mind that the number one goal is to keep someone safe. And I have to go back to the Bob Saget story. He was here in Jacksonville. Yeah. He goes down to Orlando. He's at the Ritz. He hits his head. He thinks everything's okay. He falls asleep, and we know what happened. And so, again, it's just important for our seniors to keep them healthy and safe.
Yes. What would you like people to know?
I think the number one thing I'd like, especially folks my age, to know, if you have a relative who is declining, who may fall, to reach out to us at Senior Helpers, 904-458-9000. Just give us a call. We'd be happy to come out, talk with you, do an assessment, and give you that peace of mind that your senior will age with dignity and grace at home.
Yes. And Al, what would you like to add to that?
Don't underestimate the importance of that relationship with the caregiver and the elderly person. Yeah. Many times, there's a dysfunctionality between the adult child and the elderly person. And the elderly person will be more open and honest with the caregiver. Yes. And they'll talk about what's really bothering them. I can't tell you how many times before my mother died, asking her how she was doing, "Oh, I'm fine." Okay? But
don't worry the kids,
Right.
Yes.
But when they have a relationship with the caregiver, it's a whole different story. Yeah. And that's another set of eyes, and doing that gives them that much more longevity.
That's special. So thank you for coming in. It's an absolute pleasure to find out about Senior Helpers. I didn't know you existed, so now I do. So that's wonderful. And also our viewers will know that you exist too. So thank you, Scott, for coming in.
Thank you, Adrienne.
And again, it's always a pleasure, Al, to see you.
Thank you.
And don't forget, if you'd like to know any more information, you can always find it on iwannabuzz.com. Greetings and welcome back to another edition of Caring About Seniors. I am your host, Adrienne Houghton. Now, each week we sit down with Oasis Senior Advisors Jacksonville and we discuss all aspects of senior living. Joining us today from Oasis is El Bagocious, and we're delighted to welcome into the studio Shep Harmon from the Peace of Mind Vault. Welcome, Shep.
Thank you, Adrienne.
Good to see you again, Al.
You too.
So before we say anything else, tell me what the Peace of Mind Vault is so that we can move forward.
Well, I'd love to. May it take about a minute for backstory.
Okay.
Because it's relevant. I retired after 30 years in the investment world. My wife and I were living downtown St. Augustine. Life was fun. Life was good. Hurricane Matthew came and really hurt us badly. A lot of damage. 7 days later, I'm in the Mayo Clinic and I'm having serious cancer surgery. In my recovery, I realized if something had happened to me when my wife and family had all this disruption from the hurricane and so much of our paperwork and our personal stuff was lost, if it's something I hadn't recovered, it would have left a mess. So I vowed that in my recovery, I would begin to restructure and reorganize our lives. And I had wills, trusts, all that sort of stuff. I mean, you know, in the investment world, 30 years, you kind of figure out what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
But so much was left undone. And so I wound up creating this concept of putting everything online into a private vault, which didn't exist when I retired. And I did it for my family first and then for a couple of friends and neighbors. And I tested it. And a few years ago, I said, this really is a business. And this business serves seniors, it serves families, it serves everybody. So it took a long time, but we adapted the highest level technology. We took a business platform that is used by millions of users in business. We adapted it for people. We created private vaults with complete security, and that's how we got started.
I mean, there's a lot that's involved in people feeling comfortable with placing all their information into an online source.
Correct.
How do you get over the worry about being hacked, being stolen? Because even banks have problems.
Oh, absolutely,
like that.
they do.
Yeah.
And there's actually two levels to the question. And the first level is you kind of do a little history. And you go back 15 years when the cloud first appeared, and every major business in the United States and the world basically said, I'm not putting my business information out in the cloud. But everybody did. Why? Because they trusted the security and they got to understand it and they realized it's better for everybody. Now, when it comes to people, when it comes to getting your data hacked, I mean, my wife's data was hacked out of the IRS. It can happen anywhere. Well, how do these things happen? It's because almost every enterprise, whether it's a bank, whether it's the government, they take all of the individual's people and they put it into one big, vault, let's say. And all you need is to have one person's password who's an admin stolen, and they can backdoor their way into that vault and steal all that information. Wow. In our case, each customer has their own private vault, their own private cloud, actually. And there are multiple levels of security. The only way somebody can get into your personal cloud is if they get your personal password. They can't hack their way in. Nobody else can hack their way in through the back door. Nobody in our company can get this information because we can't access your data. So you have multiple levels. Not only do you have passwords and usernames and a private cloud address, you even have two-factor authorization. We have multiple levels of heavy encrypted data, and that's why you can have protection. And boy, once you've started to experience it, you'll know. You realize this is really strong. Yeah.
So it's like going into a bank and saying, I'd like to access my lockbox that's downstairs and hidden behind, and down you go, and there's all your precious
It's exactly
documents.
what it is, Adrienne. Yes, it's exactly what it is. And with one exception, it's not a physical location that's limited access. It's 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, anywhere in the globe that you have web access, whether it's a mobile device or a laptop or a desktop.
So whenever you're nervous and you just want to check it's all still there and everything is safe, you can.
You can, and not only everything, videos and photos. And I liken it to the idea of the, let's say that you have Apple systems, you have Google systems, and they have their own place where you can put your data. But what you get from them is you get from them an empty warehouse. What you get from us is a structured vault that we already have over 200 separate lockboxes identified so you know where to put your material, and we provide you the information and the security to learn how to do it, all at one very tiny price.
Al, you must have met a lot of people who need this desperately, or would need it when they're changing from perhaps their own home to a residential living.
I got a personal story to share with you. I have a cousin who has had illnesses and moved from Connecticut to Jacksonville. Unfortunately, he had a lot of missteps in terms of his will and all this other information, and he died on the operating table at Mayo Clinic and left all this information open. So if somebody, and most of us are tech savvy, most of my seniors are tech savvy, there's no reason why they can't do this. I can't tell you how many friend requests I get from people who are dead on Facebook.
Yeah, right.
Their identity gets stolen, and that gets circulated around, and it's a heartbreaker for families.
Yeah.
It's as if you go to a funeral, somebody knows your address, and you come home, and everything is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the value that SHEP brings to this community and the entire community. And I want to throw up something, not to be funny, but to be realistic. And this is a sign that says, "Old Guys Rule." Okay. And there's three letters I want you to think of. KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Colonel Sanders didn't start his company until he was 65 years old.
Okay. I see where this is going.
SHEP
okay.
is
75. Okay, let's get it over with, and there you have
SHEP
it. Right?
is 75, and what he's doing, he's bringing this wonderful tool to the world. And at some point, some organization is going to say, "We want this.
Yeah.
Where do we sign, and how much do you want?" And that's what all entrepreneurial people try to do. They bring something to the world that's going to make the world better, and then in the essence, they get a lot of funding, and don't doubt my word, SHEP's going to open a nonprofit, a foundation, or something that's going to help people. So he's going to pay that forward in doing other things for other people. Okay.
I mean, you did mention there that a lot of seniors that you know are tech savvy. But having said that, there are also a lot of seniors that are not very tech savvy, and this may make them feel, well, I can't do that. I wouldn't know how to do it. I mean, I've got friends that say to me, please don't email me. Please don't text me. Just pick up the phone and talk to me. And I'm like, I don't have time to do that. You know, it'd be so much easier just to text you. So they don't even want to, you know, do texts or emails. Yeah. So how do you deal with people that have that?
It's very common. And especially in anybody, and I won't even pick an age level, but there are just some people that are just resistant or incapable or have no desire to learn tech.
Correct.
However, they have issues. And within a family, there's always somebody that has one skill set that is relevant. And the beauty of our system is a mother sitting in Florida and an adult daughter living in upstate New York can simultaneously work on the vault to make sure it's getting set up properly.
Oh my goodness.
So we have the ability to bridge time and space. And because you have that ability, which is really, it's all about the digital side of it, because we have that ability, we can help any family to become prepared. This is a system that I call it's preparation for tomorrow, it's preparation for today, and it's able to look back and save what happened yesterday. Because you can tie in your genealogy, you can tie in your family videos, you can tie in those little critical things that are important. You know, we think of a will and we talk about bequest. Oh, you wanted to have that special china cabinet, make sure you give that to your daughter. Well, if that's not written down, and believe me, by the time people pass, a lot of stuff's not written down. It creates anxiety and agita within the family. if they use the Palm Vault system, they can solve so many of those issues ahead of time just by being explicit and by having something written down.
Yeah. What if people say, well, actually, you know, I don't really have any assets. I don't need this.
Mm-hmm.
Do
One of my favorite new subscribers from the very beginning was a retired professor. And she was divorced. The ex is out of the picture entirely. She had 3 children. She had a very, very small asset base. But she had a lifetime of information she wanted to share with the kids and wasn't sure how she was going to do it. So much of what she wrote, because she was a very articulate person and she taught English amongst other things, she had all this information and she wanted to make sure it was passed on, really didn't have a structure to do that. Because let's face it, you walk into your parents' house and they've got closets full of scrapbooks, or they've got, you know, file cabinets full of data.
That's not my parents' house, that's my house.
Well, we're all there. That's how I started,
well,
you know.
For sure.
So what we're trying to do is we're just trying to help smooth the path. And I always tell people at the beginning, you don't have to finish this. You just have to start. Once you start the process of bringing in data, because let's face it, every single piece of paper that's important in your life, you've touched at least once. And why not, instead of just touching it and filing it, why not touch it, and if you have to scan it, or nowadays we get everything digital, we get it sent to us and we're able to put it into the right place. And with the seniors, and this is what Al and I have been talking about since we met, is the idea that when he helps somebody to go into an assisted living home, or whatever the situation may be, that person is changing their lives in so many ways, and the family at a distance is going to worry about them. How do you keep it all interactive? How do you keep it all capable for the family? The Peace of Mind Vault can help people do that.
Yeah. So how do people find the Peace of Mind Vault? How do they find you?
Okay, well, both. All right,
Yes.
Same place.
Same place.
The Peace of Mind Vault we call it the Palm Vault because it's so much easier. So POMVault.com. That's Peter, Oscar, Mary. peaceofmindvault.com. And I'm Shep, S-H-E-P, at POMVault.com. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. I got a great team of people. We care about the subscribers we work with, and we'll help you in any way we can.
Fascinating. Thank you so much for coming in and telling us about it.
Thank you.
I learn something every day from Oasis, and so thank you, Al, for
welcome.
bringing Shep in.
Thanks, Al.
And don't forget,
Thank you, Adrian.
if you'd like to know any more information, you can always find it on iwannabuzz.com.